Bismillah mina shaitan rajim. Bismillah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 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 I'd like to start this discussion today and share with you some of my own personal experiences and understanding about the nature of life, the purpose of life, and what I've learned along the way on this path that we're on, that we're all sharing together, the path of Islam, the path of submission, the path of awakening, the path of coming to the essence of your heart and realizing that you are more than just your identity, your name, your body, your work, whatever it is that you can think of and conceptualize, that there is something greater and beyond that lies within you. In every human being, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, whether they're Muslim or not Muslim, it doesn't matter. Everyone is born with a ruh, which is bil amri rabbi, which is by the order of Allah. And that ruh, which resides in your heart, in the core essence of your being, is beyond time and beyond space. It is the direct emanation from Allah Azza wa Jalla. Meaning that anyone at any given time is never disconnected from the one. We're all connected consistently. We don't experience that, but that is the truth of it. And that is also the whole issue, is that we don't experience it. And that is the access to that realization, to that understanding, to that opening, has been the core teaching of every prophet that has ever emerged from the pool of human life. All prophets come with the same message, as you all know, maybe in different, appropriate for the time that they emerged, but all prophetic teachings are the same. It is to provide that modeling, that mirroring, that guidance that leads you, that guides you, that mirrors you to discover the inner eternal light that is within you. Our deen and everything in it is designed perfectly to guide you and to hopefully you arrive at that tasting of that eternal self that is within you. Share with you, we've been talking, a few of us who are in business and who are entrepreneurs or who are teachers or in daily life, how is it that we can bring this practice and this road to realization into our everyday existence. In the Western world and all over the world now, there's been a tendency, and really forever there's been this tendency, but more so now than ever, to compartmentalize our lives. You know, we have our work, and we have this dunya that we call the dunya, and then we have our path. We have this and we have that. There is no such thing. There's no such thing as the dunya as opposed to something else. That everything that you experience, everything that we perceive in creation, no matter what it is, from the most gross to the most sublime, is all stamped with the original intention. It is ilasti birabbikum, Allah asks, am I not your Lord? And all the arwah, when they were gathered in one place, they all said, you are, Nam, it is you. Meaning that before all of this existence and all of these things that we perceive in the relative world came into the relative world or perceived in the relative world, was already tasked by the One, by Allah, to eventually produce this conscious, awake human being at least here on this planet that we know of, where they will awaken to that one reality. So there is no separation. When we compartmentalize our lives, we are perpetuating an illusion. Allah is one in His essence and in His attributes. Therefore, the creation is designed and made from His essence, emanating from His essence, manifested through His attributes. So all of creation, the foundation of creation is that His names. All the mountains are not mountains. They are the manifestation of Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. When you see beauty, you're seeing the manifestation of Allah's name, the beautiful. You see the thing, but the thing is not what you're seeing. It is merely a image, a meaning set in a form. So we have to acknowledge both. I'm not saying that we don't see the form. Allah created this creation with that intention, so that all things are like faceted aspects of a one single gemstone that's so perfect that each facet reflects in the heart of the human being where the soul is, to realize that that is a manifestation of one of Allah's names. So it brings you into a more subtle understanding and a higher consciousness. Now this is where things become really interesting. That everything is a language. If you can look at the world in your daily life as opposed to a physical brick and mortar type reality, but look at it more like a language that Allah is speaking to you, then you begin to what happened with the Prophet ﷺ, in which the first revealed word of the Quran was Iqra, read. What is read? Read what? You know, the Prophet ﷺ said, read what? And the angel Jibril said, read, you who were created from this little, dot, this little genetic material. The Prophet ﷺ, when he read the meaning of the entire creation. The whole wisdom and the names and the light and everything was unveiled to him at that moment. That's why when Jibril came on the night of power, or on the Miraj actually, when Jibril came to the Sidrat al-Muntaha, the tree of the furthest limit, and where it's described as a tree, and its meaning is where creation and the manifestation of physicality begins to break up. And the Prophet said to Jibril, can you come with me? And Jibril said, I can't. He said, you can go, but I cannot go. And that's when the Prophet ﷺ, he then went beyond the Sidrat al-Muntaha into the presence of God, and then the Qaba wa Qathaini, that it says in Surah Al-Najm that Allah said, I brought my slave near to me, 2 bows lengths. And this is mithal. Allah uses mithal throughout the Quran to exemplify something which is even unspeakable. That 2 bows lengths is nothing. And that's, if you follow the ayahs in Surah Al-Najm, it says that we brought him 2 bows lengths near to me, near to Allah, and then it says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Najm, we revealed to his heart what we revealed. And the heart did not lie for what it saw. So there's a potential possibility. It's showing us that there's this gift that Allah has given to every single human being, the potential and the possibility of knowing something which is greater than the angels, greater than anything else in creation, is to be in the absolute hudur of Allah. Now, not everyone reaches that in this world, but you're guaranteed that you will reach Allah no matter what. It says in the Quran over and over again, lucky, you will meet Allah, whether it's now or later. The meeting with Allah is for sure. That will happen. But we people, if we were gathered here, we come to places like this, we attach ourselves to this, attracted to this teaching and to different shuyukh, because we want something now. We want something more. We've all come here from different places in the world, the different backgrounds, all with the same burning desire to know Allah and to become closer to what is real and to escape from the gravity of the egoic self. This is what Islam is truly all about. It is a parachute, to save you from splatting yourself, into annihilation, to save you so that you can approach that Hadrat al-Rabbani, to the presence fully with your consciousness, and then beyond your own relative consciousness. Because you have both. You have your relative consciousness, which you describe yourself, which you say, I am so-and-so, I live, this is my life, this is what I do. And you have also the conscious, the only consciousness, which is the light of the Ruh, which is Bil Amri Rabbi, residing within your heart. All the practices of Islam, and inshallah, I'd like to spend a few minutes going over some of the most exquisite and wonderful meanings of the salat. We were talking, you and I, brother, just yesterday or this morning, that often we look at salat as something we need to do. It's an obligatory thing and some kind of thing that we do, and we get it over with. There's this attitude. I think all of us have experienced it one time or another, where we feel we're Muslims, so we have to pray, and because somebody's going to give us a bad mark somewhere, and that we didn't pray, or we feel a fear that if we don't pray, something bad is going to happen. But actually, as-salat al-mirajat al-mu'min, meaning that the prayer is the ascension, the ascending arc for the mu'min, the person who has an inner landscape, who has this inner desire to know themselves and to know the transcendent self. It's not enough. You can't be ever satisfied with just the things you have in this life. It will never work. That's why we're all sitting here. All of us know that there is nothing in this world that will bring us to ultimate contentment. This is what the theme of this conference is about. But it's impossible. It is impossible to have ultimate contentment. True contentment, ultimate contentment, is Allah's rida. He is the content, the total content. As long as you have a body, a breath, a sense of me and other, you will always have that little bit of discontentment in you. You will get hungry, you want to eat. You'll be cold, you want to put a jacket on. The total, ultimate contentment is a consistent state of total bliss, and that is ultimately only with Allah Azza wa Jal. But the key is that we all have that residing within our hearts. So we're never going to be satisfied with the things of this world unless we come closer and taste and submit and realize and unveil and that ultimate light that is there. And like what Sheikh Fadlallah speaks about, we were talking about this morning, about being transparent, meaning that finally the self becomes less and less active. Your egoic self becomes less and less in your life, and not that it goes away, but it becomes less and less, and it's mitigated by you're referencing constantly to the light that is within you. The path of Islam is designed to make it possible for you to reference that light within you. So I'd like to do just two things. One is I want to sing the qasida that describes this very well, and then I want to go over the salat in how, after being a Muslim for nearly 40 years, I just recently discovered how to do the prayer. So I want to share that with you. So the first thing I want to do is, inshallah, after that, is just, if those of you who know this can sing along with me, and then we'll go over the meaning and we'll unpack it together a bit. فقال لا شك هو حدير فقلت ما لي ألا أراه فقال لي هو وفيك ظاهر فقلت هذا الأمر عجيب فكيف يخفى والنور باهر فقال وهم هو حجاب ولكل من قاهر لكن من كان ذا اجتباع غاب عن الوام بسرائر والسرى روحا بغير جسم والشهادة ربا ببصائر فغايات نفاتي في شهودي لحضراتنا ما لها من ساتير فليس فعل ولا وجود لغير ربي عند الكبير فقولوا من باح باغتيار من غير إذن له زواجير يا ربي افتح لنا بصائر ونوير القرب والسرائر ثم صلاة على النبي ما جد حب والسرائر وعليه وصيها بجمال مطر شوقا لله طاهر الله 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 ربي الله الله نور قلبي الله الله ربي الله نور قلبي. So the Sheikh is having an inner conversation, and this is a conversation that we're all having at the same time. And he says, as a metaphor, he says, I asked my heart about the nearness of my Lord, and so it said, there is no doubt that He is present. So we all have this yearning to know, oh, Allah is, where's Allah? Where's God? Is God there? Well, this questioning is intrinsic. It is fitri in us to want to know, oh, where is God? Who is God? What is? But because Allah resides within the core of your being, so the echo of that comes out if you listen and you can hear. And he says, there's no doubt that He's present. Then he says, so I said, again the intellect, sort of the mind arises and says, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me that I do not see him? And it said to me, he's manifest within you. Then he says, I said, this is astonishing. How can he be hidden if light is brilliant? So this is a question we all ask. What? He said, illusion, wahm, is the veil, and it overpowers everyone. So here now we come to the Sheikh is coming to the core issue. Is wahm, is illusion. All of us were brought up from the day that we were born, to experience the world in a certain way, the physicality of the world, that we found, like Sheikh Fadlallah describes, how the intellect and the cleverness of the human being starts to know how to manipulate it knows when it gets hungry it can cry and bang on the crib or whatever, and this becomes complexified through life. And we all, from the first couple of years of our life, we develop a certain pattern of behavior, a certain pattern of accessing things around us. And we get used to the solidification of the things of our eyes and the things of this world. So we become habitually enamored and veiled from seeing the more subtle things, seeing beyond the physicality. And it overpowers all people. However, the one who is chosen withdraws from illusion through his secrets, or the one who is discriminating, it's another way of looking at it, will rise above these through the inner sight. What happens in the process of life, as you all know, is that after a while you begin to see, well, that thing that I've been wanting and that I got it, and then I'm not really happy with it anymore. Or it could be a new car, a new husband, a new wife, or whatever it is. After a while, you realize that the thing that was so shiny and so attractive and so with the thing, it wasn't really satisfying. And that is now a process of elimination. This is what every human being goes through. They desire the world, they go after the world, and this is important to do that. When you're young and you are vital, this is a natural pattern. One needs to love the world and try to take it and try to own it and so on, because it leads you to understand that the thing that you're really looking for is not in the thing that you're looking at. You can't transcend something unless you have an understanding of the nature of the thing that you have been identified with. So the whole thing is designed in such a way that our human experience is, and each one of us has a very unique human experience, but it's perfectly designed for you in particular. And so here's another thing which is really amazing, that each one of us reflects the uniqueness of the one of Allah, because each one of us is like a universe in ourselves. Each one of us has very specific experiences and life movements and so on that are perfectly designed and optimally designed to bring you to your highest potential. And when I mean highest potential, I don't mean a degree or whatever. I mean to discover the true treasure which is within your heart. So everybody's experience, although principally and in overall we can relate about love and anger or hunger or this and that, the specifics of each one of our lives is totally unique. Totally unique. Each, like Sheikh Fadlallah always said, every fingerprint is different from the other. And that's how we are, and this is a sign of Allah's uniqueness. So we have this experience that we say, however, the one who is chosen from illusion withdraws from illusion through his secret, meaning that you begin to taste an inward reality. You begin to pierce the veil of the outer world, the creation, by seeing the Yad Allah, the hand of Allah, in the creation. You begin to mirror the reality of the heart, which is beyond time and beyond space, the Ruh, and you begin to mirror that in the reflective reality of creation. So you begin to see something else going on, a pattern forming, a interconnectedness as you grow older, and and I don't mean, it doesn't have to be age, it could mean just a few years, a few months, it could mean a lifetime, it doesn't matter. Time is relative to Allah's will and Allah's plan. But if you live long enough, and for most of us, you begin to see patterns, and those patterns indicate interconnectedness. That's why we love to hear music, because it reflects harmony. When you hear something beautiful, it's interconnected. It raises your state. When you go to these beautiful domes and you see the geometric design of the inside of the domes of mosques, and you see how beautiful they are, it's because it reflects the cosmos. You begin to see cosmology. This more and more takes you from the state of separation to gatheredness. That is why we love those things, because we love gatheredness. We love al-jami, because we have al-jami within us. So everything that happens to us in life begins to, you see the interconnectedness. That's what it means to be chosen. It's not chosen like, some, prima donna or something, I don't know, king or queen. You're chosen by a Mustafa, by that Allah's chosen, means He's giving you, He's chosen you to awaken. That's what it means. It's not something, like kingship. It's something, a gift from Allah. And then he says, and he becomes a spirit without body and directly sees the Lord with inner sight. I'll read it again. He says, and he becomes a spirit without body and directly sees the Lord with inner sight. This is the Sheikh describing the potential of the mirror facing the mirror. The ultimate experience that where you have put away the egoic self is to the extent that you can, by effort and yearning, and the world and existence around you, you've pierced through and have seen the patterns and the interconnectedness of all things. And now what is left for you other than to let go of the final sense of separation? And for those who have been given that dhawq, that taste, those are the ones who we love. When you meet people who are like that, why do we love them? We don't love them for their diet or for their looks or for their, when you meet someone like Sheikh Fadlallah or any of the urafa, of the people of marifa, people of knowledge, what we love about them is their connectedness to the light of Allah. And that light is what is our truth, is our haqq. So be careful. When you meet a sheikh, or you meet an arif, or you meet someone like that, remember that, in fact, at that moment you're meeting your own mirror. You're meeting your own self. People come and they say, oh, Sheikh Fadlallah, he's so wonderful. The truth is, you're wonderful. When I'm with him, I feel all of a sudden like the burden of my thoughts and so he's gone, and I feel I've, entered into a new space inside. What's new space? That's been there all the time. It's been there all the time. The sheikh, no one can do anything for you. Keep that in mind. Sheikh cannot do anything. No sheikh can do. If a sheikh tells you, I will do something for you, leave the door. Get out. Right? Because la fa'ala illallah. The only actor is Allah. The only power is with la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And the sheikh is the one who knows that more, believe me, more than anyone. Hopelessly, he knows he's completely without power and strength. That's why we love them. That's why we love what they love, and that's why we love. Period. Because that is the essence of love, is connectivity. So here he's this ascension, talking about this ascended state, and he sees with the Lord. Now here's an interesting thing. He says he becomes a spirit without body and directly sees the Lord. He's using the word Rabb instead of Allah here. and I think it's essential meaning. He's talking about the Rabb in Allah's Rububiyah, His lordship. Lordship is an action, is something that you can verify. When you say Allah, Allah is the name of the essence. It has no attributes. But if you say Lord, it has an attribute. It means the word like terbiyah, rububiyah, lordship. You can understand it. Lordship is what it divines over the Asma Husna. Allah is Lord over His names. So you can see the manifestation of the names and indicating His lordship, indicating His essence. So this is what he's talking about, becoming a spirit without body and directly sees Lord. You're piercing through the veil again, as we said before, through the veil of creational relative world, and you are entering into the sublime and to a higher consciousness through reflecting and seeing the interconnectedness of the unitive matrix of creation. So he goes on to say, so the goal of openness in direct seeing is a presence that has no veil. Here he's discussing again this state in which you do not see two. The veil, the hijab, the illusion, the wahm of separate existence is faded, and you begin to be like that light in Ayatul Nur that we were talking about earlier today, that Allah has placed a lamp set within a niche, lit by the oil from a blessed olive tree, neither of east or west, a light that shines but doesn't burn. That is the reality of who you are. That is the reality of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, but it's also the reality of each one of us. Did you hear what Shaykh Allah said? We all have one soul, the same soul. We have the prophetic soul, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. We have the same soul as the Prophet. We're all from nafsun wahida, one self. We all have different maqams though, different states. We're not prophets. We are who we are. That's why also Shaykh Allah emphasizes you have to be real to yourself, who you are. Who are you? What are you? You don't have to be like anybody else. Nobody owns you. You're not owned by, you are owned by the One, by Allah Azza wa Jal. You're living by Bismillah, by the hand and power and strength and wisdom of Allah Azza wa Jal. You have no separate existence at all. So that veil that you pierce is the veil of illusion. And that comes to, there, we can talk about this many times in the future, but there's many levels of that veil. And the ultimate one is where there's no more ana wa huwa, but there's just huwa. And that you can't speak about that. And he says, the Shaykh goes on to say later, he says, among the great there is neither action or existence from other than my Lord. This is, you begin to realize that everything that happens is by the hand of Allah. Most of us, we look back at experiences in life and we say, oh, that happened and it was by Allah, right? Look how Allah did this thing, right? We all kind of, in hindsight. And that's good. That's a good place to begin. But in reality, it was before, it is now, it will always be, it has always been. That's, nothing is other than by the action and existence of Allah. Nothing. 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 And then he goes on to say, whoever divulges this secret, or this insight rather, by choice, meaning, and this is an interesting concept here, without permission, has restrictions placed on it. So here, this is a lot in this, but one thing I will go into about this is that if you try to share this in a way that, in any way that you claim existence, that somehow you know something, that if it's in your heart, that you find that you're getting some kind of upmanship from it. Yeah, I've met the love. I have seen beyond the veil, or you are doomed. You are doomed. Because people who say things like this, without Allah's giving them direct permission, without the self involved in it, they will be brought down. If you raise your head in arrogance, Allah will bring it down in submission. And you look through history, anyone who's ever claimed lordship in this world, where are they now? Anyone who has ever claimed anything of, whether it's temporal or whether it was spiritual in some way, that they were abusive in their claim of that position, we don't even know where their graves are. So this is important, that it is a sign of being totally in humility. And then he ends it with 3 prayers that are full of insight. He says, O Lord, Ya Rabbi Iftah, O Lord, open our inner sight for us. We're asking Allah to open up our inner sight, because our inner sight belongs to Him. Open our inner sight for us and illumine our heart and our inner secret. Then bless the Prophet as long as there is a lover, serious in their love and a wayfarer journey. Because without there being the means, the ends is irrelevant. If there was no human beings here, there would be no need for the Prophet ﷺ. So we're connected. لَكَ جَاءَ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ لَكَ جَاءَ كُلُّ رَسُولٍ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزُ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِيتُمْ. It goes on. We are connected from oneself to that prophetic light. And then he says, and his family and companions all together, as long as there is one who flies to Allah with longing, with himma. Here, the longing, with flying to Allah, this is all metaphoric words, that you have to have intention on this path, clarified intention, and it has to be connected with himma, which is spiritual enthusiasm. And there's a trifecta and that's what I want to go into a little bit with that, is that to be on this path that we're all on, we have to have spiritual enthusiasm. We have to want it more than we want anything else. And that, for many of us, it takes a bit of time an experience in the world to get that founded within us and established within us. But that's what it takes. One of the reasons we're so attracted again to someone like Sheikh Fadlallah, and the people like him, the Urafa, the people of Allah, is that they are one-pointed in their desire to be in the presence of the now, in the presence of the Hadrat al-Rabbani, in the presence of the Lord, where they are enveloped, drowned, dead to themselves in the light of the present moment, in where Allah is present. If we're in the past or in the future, or we're thinking of, did we leave our keys in the car, or this, or whatever it is, did I turn off the oven? Last night there were 2 ovens left on here last night. As long as you're in those distracted states, you will be less in a potential for tasting the moment. So that moment, which we love, is the dhikr of Allah. That is the true remembrance of Allah. Remembrance of Allah then has reflection. Out of dhikr comes fikr. You reflect. You learn from being in the moment. You see what Allah is doing. You see the hand of Allah, and it gives you reflection. It teaches you through the filter of your own personal relative experience and life and identity what Allah in him remembering him is talking to you. Allah's talking to you. Allah is speaking to you. Right now, Allah is speaking to you. Dhikr, fikr. And from that reflection, it inspires the self to have himma, which is spiritual enthusiasm. These three work together and they drive like a locomotive the path. You have to have these three things together. Is dhikr, remembrance, being dhikr, reflecting, taking the words, hearing the wisdom, hearing what Allah is saying, see the trees, see the birds. What's the bird saying to me? What's the fly saying to me? You know, Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah that He is not above making an example of a gnat, of a small insect. That it doesn't mean that, you know, it means so much with that it means everything has a language, it's Allah speaking to us. So these are the three things that we need as a locomotive to perpetuate us on this path. If we lose any of these three, then we go into a downslide, right? And there's all right, you know, I've been through many, you know, these, and sometimes you have to hit a bottom in order to see that your possibilities of being as gross as the most gross. But that it should give you then the himma to raise yourself up, because you know that there's more to this existence than your own desires and your own. So I want to finish this with just sharing with you what I've discovered about the salat. The salat, the prayer, is your means of having these three work in a harmonious way. The salat is your recharge every day, 5 times a day, so that you can enter into the presence, the Hadrat al-Rabbani, into the presence of your Lord. It is the salat is the mirajatul movement, as we said before, that it is your access to the different states in an ascension, a curve of ascension towards higher consciousness. And I'm going to go through, these are some practical things I want to share with everyone that has really made the prayer the most precious gift that I can imagine. So, first thing is, and I'm sure if you may have, please forgive me if you've heard all these things before, but I just want to go over them with you. When you begin with Qibla, it's so interesting that you are in life and all of a sudden you want to find the direction. It's a metaphor. You're involved in everyday life and business or whatever, and then you go, well, which way is it time for prayer? Where's Qibla? This is a great metaphor. This is how life is. You've lived your life in this dun, in the world, only seeing the world, but now the idea of Qibla, turning away from things towards a one direction. So you find Qibla. And what is Qibla? Qibla is where Kaaba is. And what is Kaaba? Kaaba is Baytullah. And what else is Baytullah? Your heart is Baytullah. These are the two things that are named in our path as Baytullah, as the heart and the Kaaba. So what does it mean? It means you're finding direction back to yourself, back to the essence of who you are, back to the light that is within you. So how do you do that? You prepare yourself by sealing yourself from the connection to this world and to your dunya. So you do wudu. Wudu is a celestial practice. It is taking water, water may have come from asteroids and meteors having ice from somewhere outside of our universe. There is a theory that it came from the center of the earth. It's possible. Right now I'm on the idea that it's celestial. So it's water that's been designed, that came from outside of so it came from a celestial source, outside of this world, onto this world, and you take it and you put it on yourself, on those things on yourself which are active appendix on your body, your hands, your head. So each time you do, you're sealing your hands, your face, your eyes, your senses, your thoughts, your motion with your feet. You're sealing yourself. You're not cleaning yourself. The idea that wudu is to clean is not right. You should be clean before you do wudu. Wudu is based on ghusl, so you should already be clean. It's a sealing of yourself so that you are prepared to turn towards Qibla, and Qibla is your heart. Then when you stand in front of Qibla, you stand up and you raise your hands up like that, right? And here's an interesting thing. When you raise your hands and you say, Allahu Akbar, well, Allahu Akbar means what? It means that Allah is greater than anything one can conceive. It is not that Allah is great as though a mountain is great or something is great, a person is great. It is beyond great, beyond conception. So the movement is so important. When you say Allahu Akbar, imagine that you are pulling the curtain or parting the curtain of relative existence, and you are pushing behind you the relative world to face the mirror of the Absolute, the Kaaba, which is the mirror of your own heart, which is the Ruh, which is Amri Rabbi. So you are moving the veil of this dunya, of this relative perception, into and standing as a person who is reflecting into the eternal light. Then another aspect of the prayer, as you is the Roku, as you lean forward. And in there you say, Subhana Rabbil Azim wa bihamdi. Subhana Rabbil Azim. Now Azim is interesting. When you're in sajda, you say, Subhana Rabbil A'la. But in Ruku you say, Azim. Now Azim is a relative word. It's the name of Allah, but we can apply Azim to a person's behavior. Oh, he's Azim, he's something, he's high, this mountain is Azim, or this beautiful place is Azim. But here, this Ruku is when you do this Ruku and you're bending and you're saying Subhana Rabbil Azim, is that you are beginning to prepare yourself for the Subhana Rabbil A'la, which is annihilation. But you begin with Subhana Rabbil Azim because Allah is Azim, and because you're witnessing all of creation. You're seeing the trees, the sky, the planets, the stars, the body, the cells. You're overwhelmed by the incredible intricacy and manifestation of Allah's names. It's just overwhelming. All you can do is say, Subhana Rabbil Azim wa bihamdi. And then, because of, again, the human being is both egoic, it is relative and has this absolute, you stand up again, right? It's me, I'm back, I'm Mustafa, whatever it is. But then you realize you've just been seeing Adim, and into Adim, then you drop into Sajda, and you say, you put all of your senses now, all your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, your everything is now on the ground. Subhana Rabbil A'la wa bihamdi. A'la is the high beyond conception. It is high beyond high. It means you can't conceive of it. It's outside of the relative experience. You're doing it. Maybe at that moment you're not experiencing the absolute, but it is indicating through a body movement, through a intention, through an action, that is your reality. So it affirms the reality of your Ruh, Subhana Rabbil A'la wa bihamdi. And then when you stand up, or rather when you get up and you sit, you come up again from it and you say Astaghfirullah. You say Astaghfirullah because you know that now you've seen the realm of the absolute, and you now know you're subject to actions which are going to be disharmonious. So you have to bring istighfar into it. But then Allah's Allah says, Kataba ala nafsi rahma, I've written upon myself mercy. So you're given the opportunity again to go down into sajda and to say, Subhana Rabbil Ala wa bihamdi. Again, access, recharge into the absolute, the potential for you to mirror the heart in the prayer, that you become to realize and taste your nothingness, your non-existence, your illusion of separation fades into Subhana Rabbil Ala. And then you come up out of it and you stand again and you redo a cycle. Now here is another amazing, interesting, extraordinary part of this prayer, is that as you do the prayer and you're cycling through, we do 1 rakah, 2 rakahs, 4 rakahs. These are like cycles of mobility and non-status of flowing from the absolute to the relative. From the relative to the absolute, and the absolute to the relative to the quantum. You are embodying the nature of the universal reality. When you do this salat, you are actually, with your whole of yourself, with body, mind, heart, everything, mimicking and reflecting the essential formula of existence and beyond. Are you with me on this? Yeah. So this is really important. Salat should be taken with a great deal of presence, with a great deal of strong intention, so that when you do this salat, that's your point. That is your recharge. That is your access. Everything is in it. Your saving is in it. Your knowledge will come from it. Your rizq will come from it. There is no end to what being present in the prayer and doing it and remembering the value and the quality of the prayer that it has for you. It's not something to be taken lightly. It's to be taken in the way that we are describing. And then when you end the prayer, now I know people end it differently depending on what school of thought you follow, but the one that I know is you say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. That is something, again, the prophetic being is abduhu, slave, and messenger. He is both totally the abd, yet he is the conduit of that light, of that one light, abduhu rasul. Then you say, Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're speaking to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the present tense. In the Arabic it is Assalamu alayka, as though he's right in front of you. Because the prophetic being is in reality still never dies. It stays. It's within the reality of that moment. And if you're present in that moment, you greet the Prophet as though he's with you. Because that prophetic light is within you. You're speaking to yourself. Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wassalamu alayna. So that same salam that you're giving, or that same connective reality, that same acknowledgement that you're giving to the prophetic light who's alive in front of you, you're saying, Assalamu alayna, it's on me. I'm taking it, take it. Allah's saying, take it with strength. Take it when the Prophet calls you, stand up with, and live. Without that, there's no life. We don't have life without that. This is what gives us life. Take it. Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayna. Then you say, wa ala ibadallahi salihin. And you turn to all the ibad and all the people who are on the path and who are people who are awakening. You're connected to everyone. So you end this prayer with the fullness of being in annihilation, experiencing the Adim and the incredible manifestation of Allah's names, and you're ending it with the doorway to that perfection, and asking it upon you, and inviting it upon yourself, and recognizing it throughout, turning right and left, and recognizing it, that it surrounds you all over with the Abad al-Sadiqin. So these are some of the gifts and magnificent and eloquent beauty and of our deen that we have. So inshallah, that when we do the prayer, to keep in mind some of these things that we shared today, and use your prayer as your flying carpet, as your path, as your mat of recharging yourself and connecting to the one and only which is within your heart. That's it. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayr al-maghdubi alayhim wa la-d-dallin. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun